Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mal.
I'm Hailstorm.
And I'm Weapon 2. You know, as this country and this world starts to unravel, sounds like a good time for a show about time travel.
Ooh.
Damn.
That was delivered flawlessly.
Yeah. Seriously, no
I don't always
stutter?
do it like that.
You
Sometimes I
mostly
stutter.
don't, yeah.
I feel
But
like
sure, I just boom.
This isn't the first time
Dropped
you've
it.
done that, is it?
It's not the first time. It's one of the better times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well played, sir. Thank you guys for joining us on episode 25 of TWG Podcast. Yes, this is our 25th anniversary.
Yes.
The 25th one. This is a milestone. This is
Yeah.
It is.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it, everybody. Yeah.
25 episodes.
That's
Holy
not
cow.
nothing. That's a lot of
not.
episodes.
That's way more than 24.
That is.
But not as much as 50.
We'll get there.
That's fine.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
No,
Way to
25
just bring
is
us back
great.
down.
It's a great number.
Congratulations, guys.
Yes.
Hey,
Everybody, pat yourselves on the back.
Everybody. Hailstorm, back yourself on the back. All right, everybody.
And obviously, thank you to all of you guys, our fans. You guys are amazing, and you're the reason we're doing all this. But as Weapon 2 said, today's top 5 countdown is going to be time travel movies, which, holy crap, this was a fun list to make because there's lots of time travel movies, lots of different types of time travel, lots of movies that time travel is like the major point of the movie, and some where it just kind of happens and isn't the focal point of the story. So there were so many movies that I didn't even consider initially when making this list that I started looking around. I was like, oh no, fuck, there's time travel on that. That's a thing.
Yeah.
You know, though, I kind of feel like the great time travel movies, though, there's going to be a lot of overlap.
Maybe. I did a lot. I realized when making mine, I think mine's is going to be, there's probably 2 that are going to overlap for me, but I bet I'm going to have a lot that aren't. So we'll see.
There are some that I thought for sure that Captain Mal was going to pick that I didn't pick because of that. So I may have been wrong.
Let's point those out then.
Because I did that?
Let's see when we do it. I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited. Not only, but even if we do have overlap, usually we could all still come up with interesting and unique things to say about said movie. So it's not the end of the world. Still a list that I've been wanting to do for quite a while. But before we do that, we're going to get into some news. Weapon 2?
Well, there was a big story that happened I don't know, about a week ago maybe. Mm-hmm. And it was what they title the DC Bloodbath. The Bloodbath.
Sounds like a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Watch live on pay-per-view.
What happened?
Give out these pink slips.
What had happened
What
was
happened was...
Warner Brothers decided they needed to cost cut and cut some salaries and trim some fat. And they started with everybody that it seems like made any large amount of money.
They
in
did a
DC
slash
Comics.
and burn.
They did. And I tried to think about whether I thought it was them trimming stuff that didn't make money, but then I saw that they had trimmed some of the people who had created the whole DC Black Label and Dark Metal and all that, which was their big money maker. Actually, that was the line that was making money, and they fired the people who did that. So then I realized, no, they're just getting rid of large salaries. And I don't think it matters who the person was or how productive they were. Just got rid of them. They got rid of the editor-in-chief, a whole bunch of other editors, a bunch of people in marketing, a bunch of other high-level. I don't know what level, but basically people who had been with DC for 26 years or more, and they just axed them all. So it was so much that people were thinking that DC was not going to make comic books anymore. It was that they thought that, well, maybe they're only going to make trade paperbacks and the larger things, but as far as your regular one-issue comic books, they weren't going to make them anymore. And that was a big rumor because they didn't really know how they were going to do it with the staffing that they have. But Jim Lee came on and he said that no, they're still going to make comic books. So that's kind of where they're at with that.
Well, and I'm reading here as you're talking, even Jim Lee, he's still there, but he got demoted.
Yeah,
he's no longer the publisher.
He's like creative director or something like that. Yeah.
And DC Collectibles is gone entirely. That entire division, which was huge. And yeah, lots and lots of editors are gone, and they really just, that's rough. That's really bad timing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge number. I mean, I saw the number 600 employees, but that might have been all throughout Warner Brothers Productions.
Warner Media, yeah.
But yeah, as far as I heard that it was at least a third of the entire DC staff were fired.
Yeah, throughout Warner Media, 600 people
Yeah.
got laid off. So, editor-in-chief, SVP of publishing strategy, support services, editor. Yeah, holy crap! That's
a lot.
Jeez. So that sucks.
Does it say DC Collectibles is gone entirely? So does that mean like the figures and everything?
Well, that's what that division was. So they're not going to be making.
Well, Todd McFarlane's doing it all way better anyway.
I mean,
I
sure.
like to have as many options to choose from as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like you're not going to get them from DC anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
suck.
there are other makers that do some amazing DC characters.
But yeah, Todd
have a
McFarlane's doing a lot
license.
of licensed DC characters now. So
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane stuff is really cool because he puts his unique spin on it.
He innovated that entire toy making thing. I mean, it used to be just your regular old plastic, generic characters, and he made them cool. He made toys cool again. He upped the bar so that I think he helped the entire toy industry so that DC, Marvel, anybody else decided, hey, we have to try harder at this.
Well, and
we need to make these better.
He just has such an eye because I listened to that podcast that he was on that you sent me, and he was talking about how he would take ideas for figures from characters that were just on not even a full page or two.
Right.
That Batman Superman one, they were just on a couple panels.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's awesome. I'm going to make that and change it up. And then I actually Googled to see what that figure looked like. I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. So, but
Have you seen that video that I posted on our Facebook page about that was his video called Like Hell I Can't or something like that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's good. That's a whole thing about his entire career where he talks about that whole thing. It's pretty.
Nice.
He's a pretty inspirational guy to listen to.
He sounds
talk
cool.
about business. Yeah.
Check him out, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is sad news. That this definitely sucks and is not promising. So again, as we talked about with the COVID-19 going around and all that, about if comic books the way they are now are going to remain a thing, if they're going to go away, if there's going to be digital, if the brick and mortar comic shops are all going to close, this isn't promising that that's not going to happen.
It is sad, though. I mean, look at the magazine industry. What you could get 20 years ago in terms of variety from magazines and zines, which were more independently published things. All that's, there's so few left. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's some scary parts involved in this, and the scariest parts for me are, number one, I don't know who doesn't like a comic book shop. I don't know who doesn't like a comic book shop to go in and just look at stuff, see stuff you never thought, I didn't even know this thing existed somewhere, because it's just sitting on a shelf over in a place where you would maybe never even find it online.
Right.
And then there's the whole comic book collecting thing. I mean, if everything's digital, there's nothing to collect anymore. And so there's just a whole lot of stuff involved with that I worry about that. And I don't think that, sadly enough, I don't think that the publishing arms of comic book companies make a lot of money anymore. But that is the source material. That's where they generate the source material and the kind of the ideas for movies and TV shows and things that make money now. So I hope, I hope that comic books don't go away. That's horrible.
I feel like you hit a nail on the head, though. Having a tangible place to go to walk around and kind of be immersed in the thing that you like. That's cool. And you're right. I've found so many comic books that I never even would have known to look for, because I went to get something else and then something was sitting next to it. I was like, what's that?
And here's the thing that I think people don't think about. It's the comic book store guy who's standing in there who tells you, hey, have you ever thought of looking at this? Where's your digital virtual comic book guy that's going to be, you walk up to and say, hey, I kind of like this thing. Is there something else that's like it? Or he's being too nosy and he's looking at you going, hey, have you ever read this?
But
I mean, you just don't get that anywhere.
Yeah, and that's fun. It's like you're like, hey, I like this thing. Can you recommend something similar?
Yeah.
And like then you go down these rabbit hole conversations with somebody who likes the same stuff you do.
And I don't think some algorithm is going to be able to do that for me on a computer.
No, because it would be based on who bought the product placement spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there would be an Amazon of comic books that would sell the best marketing spot on the front landing page, and that's how that would work. And we've lost some amazing comic book stores during this. I mean, there's 2 in Seattle that I know of that just closed after, I want to say, like 50 or 60 years.
That sucks.
Yeah. So it's sad.
It is sad. It's super sad. But
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's sad panda news. I was gonna make a Blockbuster analogy. That it's like, remember, it's like going and walking around Blockbuster is fun. Scrolling Netflix is not the same thing. So that was way more prevalent. Yeah. So, but okay, so sad DC news. A little bit of exciting DC news now, maybe with the segues. So 2 separate stories came out almost back to back regarding the next lineup of DC movies, and the Flash movie has been in production hell for a long time. Various writers and directors have come and gone. At one point, they said we were getting Flashpoint. At one point, they said it would be an origin story. At one point, Ezra Miller wasn't even attached anymore. But they have announced that not only is Michael Keaton going to be in this, reprising his role as Batman, Ben motherfucking Affleck is coming back. My boy, the Batflex, is going to come back for this movie also. Now, if you know anything about comics, you might be just like, if you don't know anything about comics, you might be like, how is this possible? How are you going to have the 2 guys playing the same role? How they're 2 completely different movies and all this kind of stuff? Not only that, you got Robert Pattinson's Batman coming out pretty soon. Supposedly, this is going to help tie everything together. There's a couple different ways they can do this. Regardless, it's exciting that these characters are coming back, or these actors are coming back to portray these characters. But, like I said, there's a few different ways they could do this. Weapon 2, how might they pull this off?
Well, one that they can do, I mean, do you think that they're going to keep all 3 of the Batmen in the same universe? Do you think that that's what they're going for?
No, I think it's going to be I think they're introducing the multiverse.
Yeah. So Flashpoint or multiverse are the two probably main ideas that are going to be possible in this. I think maybe a multiverse type thing is probably more likely. I don't know. I don't know which one I would want to see more, though. There are 2 cool ways of doing this. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'll get there. Hailstorms. So I'm presuming you haven't read Flashpoint before.
You are correct.
And you probably don't read as many comics as we do and all that. So as like a more casual observer, what do you think about Keaton and Affleck and all that being in this movie? Would that be overly confusing? Would it be overly complicated? Do you think it's too much? No, I would love it.
I would be giddy excited to see Michael Keaton especially. But I mean, when you talk about like how are they going to do it, multiverse is the only way that I could see them doing it. Mm-hmm. But what do you do when Michael Keaton's Batman was 35 years ago? Mm-hmm. Pretty close to that.
Yeah.
So, well, no. It was 30.
89 is when it came out, so however.
Do the math. I can't.
That's cool. That's right off the top of my head.
So I
3 years older than me, so 36.
I don't think they need to necessarily. Well, no, they could, because now he's old. They could do it however they want. They could tell the story any way they wanted to do it.
They could do Flashpoint, which has an older Thomas Wayne character in it, and presumably Michael Keaton could be doing that. I don't think that's what they're going to do, though. I do want a Flashpoint movie, but I want that after we've already had some established. We need a Flash movie, and we need Reverse Flash being established already as a villain before that movie could have the weight that I think it needs to have.
Yeah.
I'm on board with it, but I do think somehow it is going to involve time travel, and it is going to involve the multiverse. Now, some of their work has already been done for them, because on the Arrowverse crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths, they already had this big multiverse story that showed this universe existing, or these universes existing together in the multiverse. They had characters from these movies interacting. So I don't know if they're going to completely build off that, but it's not that hard to be like, so this Earth, Michael Keaton's Batman movies all happen, and he's been Batman for this long. Right. And on this Earth, Robert Pattinson is just starting as Batman. They're both Bruce Wayne, but through different events. Yeah. He just got started way earlier.
Timelines,
he got different times. Just stuff happened differently. And Affleck's right in the middle. He's the mid-ground Batman. And you could easily connect the lines between all of that happening. And as fans,
all it takes is a really good storyteller.
It just takes a good
That's
storyteller.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking is, I just hope they do it well.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just got to be somebody that tells a good
If they try
story.
and make this Michael Keaton 30 years ago, I'll be disappointed.
No.
Right.
If they try and like do some computer magic to de-age
No.
him.
It needs to be
No,
him
it's
old.
going to be
Yes,
him.
he needs to be
he's
old.
aged. He's where he is now.
I would say
what
even
happened
retired.
then happened then in that universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it should be even him as a retired Batman, maybe,
Yes.
and he's coming out for like one last run to help
Yeah.
out in whatever way he's doing.
Because I love him.
Yeah, me too. I love one. He's a great actor. And two,
Yes.
I was a child when those movies came out, so the nostalgias are super hard for me with that. Like I swear to God, when he posts a picture of him holding the cow, I'm gonna cry. Like I'm gonna lose my shit. And you know me, like I love the Afflecks, the Ben Affleck Batman. So like that's gonna be great. I can't like seeing them together. If they share screen time, and as much as I'm harping on the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, I do want it to be good. Obviously, I want it to be good. And if they somehow connect all of these, then I'm on board. Like, I'm on board. This is exciting news. My issue is it's a DC live action movie. So, as we had a comment on the Facebook page from one of our followers, they're like, yeah, but it's a DC live action movie. They'll fuck it up somehow.
That's what's so disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to get attached to something you know is going to be...
Until I see it, I can't be excited, really.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with superhero movies now. There is no problem. There's no obstacles with production quality, money, any of that. The only thing they need is somebody that's going to tell a great story. If they just have writers who are going to tell a great story, they are going to be successful. They have won. So it's different than when it used to be, nobody's going to give you enough money to make that movie, and production quality is going to suffer and be horrible.
Yeah, because superhero movies don't make money.
Yeah, they have everything they need right now, unless all they have to do is not fuck it up.
Or even when they wouldn't
And
hire...
yet their track record shows.
Or even when they wouldn't hire comic book writers to write movie scripts, because they'd be like, no, you're a comic book writer. This is totally, you need a screenplay, right? No, now they get comic book writers to do these things, who care and understand the source material and can adapt it good. And that's the frustrating part of DC, like we've talked to death on this show, is they have the stories.
This is the opportunity, and I'm going to say this right now, for the biggest cinematic win that since they've been making these movies. If they can do this thing right, this is going to be the best thing they've done since they've been making these movies.
This is exactly what could turn the ship around. I agree with you, because everybody complains, most people complain about how like the MCU is great. The MCU has this continuity and it's fantastic and we all love it. And everybody complains that DC doesn't have that it's all this disjointed, all these separate pieces and all that. And the one way they could rectify that is just be like, multiverse, bitch.
Boom, yeah.
And all of us would be like, oh! Like that would be amazing. So you're right. This could be the thing that saves it. So I'm trying to be like, I'm not excited, but look at me. I'm just like,
no, I'm excited.
We know the truth.
They're gonna break my heart again, though.
You saw the little meme I made. I said, and just like that, I'm excited about the Flash movie. I mean,
Out of nowhere.
before didn't even care.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I can't wait. This is the most exciting thing I've heard about. So
please don't fuck it up. Just please stop. I keep coming. I'm like in an
begging you.
abusive relationship with Warner Brothers. I just keep coming back. And just don't hurt me anymore. But
You're right.
So that was the news stories. In case you guys are wondering, at the time we're filming this, DC Fandom, I believe is the name of it, is actually happening tomorrow. So that's why we're not talking about any of the stories that happened there. As soon as they're up, we will post them on the Facebook page, so don't worry about that. But that's why we're not commenting on anything that happened, because we don't have a time machine. So I don't know what's happening.
yeah, as far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yeah. I mean, how would we know?
We wouldn't.
I don't know.
Unless if we invented a time machine, we show up right now.
Hey, just so you guys have a reality check, none of us are even working on a time machine at the moment. I can't imagine
Today
Right now.
I'm not. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Until future Vic walks in and is like, hey, remember episode 25 of the podcast? That's what made us start working on it.
That's right.
But, hey, that was a pretty good segue.
It was good.
Let's do our top 5 countdown.
Do it.
Time machine.
So where are we starting? Which end?
I feel like we should start with the Hailstorms, mostly because I don't want to follow you, because you're too good.
I don't know.
That hurts.
I'm rusty maybe
That
today.
hurts.
I don't know.
Okay, my number 5 Are you staring at me?
I'm
in a weird
excited.
way?
I'm excited to hear.
Well, because so she was ordering her list and was like fucking folding the paperwork.
She was hiding it. She thought somebody was going to steal her answers.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's time. It's time to start divulging the answers.
Lay it out.
My number 5 is about short-term time travel.
Okay.
The best kind of time travel.
Yeah, pretty short-term time travel. It's the repetition of one day over and over.
Okay.
Groundhog
I know
Day.
where you're going
Groundhog
here.
Day.
Yeah.
Yep. Groundhog Day. I love the movie. You can't watch it over and over again, I feel like, because it's already happening over and over again. So if you keep watching it over and over again, you get it like way too much. But it's such a cute movie with Bill Murray and Andie MacDowell. And the idea that do we ever know what the reason is?
I don't think it's ever, at least I don't remember ever being stated.
It just is that he keeps waking up to the
kind of
exact
imply
same
your
day.
own reasoning.
Over and over again. And I think that's a cute premise. I mean, you can't have every movie do that, but it was a cute premise when it came out.
Not only was it a cute premise, it's an iconic movie in that it is influenced pop culture moving forward. That's like the story of like the day repeating and stuff, all that. Like there's been spoofs of it, parodies, but other movies directly influencing and taking that idea and just making it their own. That is a movie that is not just stood the test of time as being an entertaining movie, but directly influenced movies moving forward. So it has to be like a great movie, right?
Yeah.
Or at least genre defining, genre changing.
I think it's one of those movies that, I know my kids know that movie. They watched it, even though it was made before they were born. And I'm sure that their kids will watch it. I mean, it's one of those movies that's kind of timeless.
It's one of those, too, if you're giving somebody a crash course in Bill Murray, which you should, that's on the list. Like, you got to show them that movie.
Oh, my God. We should do a
Bill Murray list? I'm on board for that. How have we not thought of that?
I know. There's so many.
And I don't think there will be a lot of overlap either.
No, because they're so different.
Yeah.
I mean, you take his comedy, you take his... Okay, we're going off on a tangent
there. But yeah, I'm on board with
shit.
that. Well played.
Okay.
Nice pick.
All right.
Fine. Why did I pick to follow you? Shit. All right. My number 4 is probably a movie not a lot of people have heard of.
We're on
number 5. My number 5 is probably a movie that not a lot of people have heard of.
So both of them, your 4 and 5, are movies that not a lot of people have heard of?
No, everybody's heard of my number 4. It made like $800 million, so everybody knows that one. Number 5 is Primer. So if you've never heard of Primer, it's
Which
fair.
I've never heard of.
So it was an indie movie that came out in 2004 and debuted in the Sundance Film Festival.
Okay.
And it was the dude, Shane Carruth, whatever. I can't pronounce his name, but I'll put it up. He wrote, directed, starred in, and composed the music for this movie and did it all with a $7,000 budget. So yeah, it is not
Holy
the highest
shit.
production quality.
I think that's even less than Clerks, isn't it?
Clerks was like $26,000.
Yeah.
And this won the Sundance Grand Jury Prize, like their pivotal prize of the festival. So like it blew everybody away in Sundance. Now, the reason this is a really, really cool movie is this is maybe the most, you hate to use the term realistic when you're talking about science fiction, but one of the easiest ways you could wrap your head around time travel actually working in a realistic way, and the most no bullshit time travel movie I've ever heard of, in that they don't dumb down terminology at all. They just throw out the science behind what they're doing, and they're just like, you just fucking keep up. And it's very much a movie you have to watch multiple times. So basically, these two dudes work for like a software company, and they're trying to come up with their invention that is going to get them, rich. That's going to make them their money and all that. And as most great inventions happen, they accidentally invent time travel. Weren't trying to do it at all, right?
A lot of times that happens by accident.
Yeah, lots of shit you just stumble across. So they stumble across time travel. But the way their time travel works is super interesting in that, they essentially build what they refer to as the box. And if you want to travel in time, what you do is, let's say it's Monday morning, 9 a.m. You turn the box on. That's the point you're traveling back to. Then you live your life however it's going to be, and then you get in the other box that you have that's synced to that, hit the button, and then you go back into this box. But it's real time. So if you want to go back a day, you have to wait the day to pass and then get in that box and hang out in the box for a day. And then you would come back into the original box.
So you can't really undo something bad because you won't know something bad happened until after it happened.
But
so you can't set the box.
So you got to be either preventative, because if you set the time on the box, it doesn't mean you have to use it. So what you can do, and what they do in the movie, is they set the box Monday morning, 9 a.m., and then they live the day, keep an
Just
eye
in
on the
case. It's a just in case.
No, they keep an eye on the stock market and all that.
No.
And then they go back, play the stocks, and make a lot of money. So then, because two of them can't exist in the same timeline, what ends up happening, the routine becomes set the box Monday or Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Those two versions of them go and just hang out in a hotel until 3 p.m. because they don't want to affect anything.
I like this.
And then they go immediately to the other box and loop back around, pop out while those selves go to the hotel, and then now with their knowledge of the future day, go play all the stocks and make money.
I like this. You know what I like about this? That they thought about how to go back in time and not fuck everything up.
Well,
because they were smart enough to invent the thing. I mean, obviously
Spoilers.
at some point something happens,
Right.
but they were smart enough to invent the time machine and still smart
you have to have a little bit of foresight here, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the main guy, he also makes a second box that he initiates at 5 a.m. just in case something fucks up. He has a failsafe to go back to before the original box starts. The problem is he tells his friend about it, and his friend's a petty motherfucker, and he wants to use the box to essentially take revenge on his ex's, or his current girlfriend's ex, who like makes him look bad at a party.
There's always a petty
And then he goes
motherfucker.
back in time too many times and starts fucking things up the time. So anyway, the first 2/3 of the movie are really, really good. They make a lot of sense, and you're following along. And then it takes some twists, and the third act of the movie, about the last 20 minutes, gets really convoluted because you start figuring out that there's like 5th and 6th versions of these people.
That's what
all
I was going to
existing.
say. I was going to say,
Right.
because if they go back and then they come back, that doesn't mean that like, oh, well, 3 hours later, we need to set this again because something happened and then we need to come back. There could be several
Well, that's the
versions
thing.
all at the same time.
If their original plan, if they would have stuck to it,
Yeah.
works. Because so when you go back, you're
Right.
essentially erasing that version of you from existence. And as long as they maintain that, they're fine. But there's always going to be two of them.
Right, but here's the thing. So I set it for today, and I'm going along, and I'm going to come back at this time. I've set it for today. I'm going along now. But then, what if you? Okay, I got another question. Here we go. So
This is why this is a good movie. It fucks with your mind.
So if they go for like let's say 3 days,
Yeah.
then they're going to go back to that first time, right?
They go back from when they turned the box on.
So let me ask you this, so they set it at a time. They need to come back at that time, right?
They're coming back to
listen
the
to me.
time,
Yeah,
right?
but
Okay.
listen to me. 4 hours later.
You asked him a question.
No, listen. I'm setting this up. I'm kind of asking him questions. I'm talking through this. So
He's working his way through the
so
problem.
you have to come back at this time. You've set the box.
Right.
Now, you're going to come back at that time. Now, 4 hours later, you set that again for another time. Because you need to, something's happened so big, such a big deal that you also have to come back at that time. So all I'm saying is, so then they come back at the first time, and then a few hours later, you're coming back at the next time. Now you got the original people here, the people that came back at the beginning of the day, the people that came back a few hours later. You could wind up with a bunch of people all there at all different times at the same time, right?
It's like you've seen the movie, because that's exactly what happens.
So I'm just gonna say right here that this is the problem that so many time travel movies have, which is that a lot of times, if you're just a regular person like me who is not some kind of like time travel engineer,
Like me?
yes,
Clearly, the time travel expert on the panel.
you're like following. Okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. And then there's a point where you're just like, I don't get it. I don't get it anymore. Like, because they start falling into those traps of like.
But okay,
all that
Every
stuff.
single time travel movie starts breaking its own rules. I
Right,
promise
so
it's
They
always
have
the
to
deal.
because
Yeah.
it's
And I feel like that's the thing with the time travel movie. I don't care how in your world time travel works. Establish your rules and stick to them.
But they always break them. They always break them in a movie.
Primer
Yeah.
doesn't actually break its own rules. Shit just gets fucked because their rules are very specific, and the people who are doing it don't quite understand it, and they start figuring out as it happens. And then dude just shows up from the future, and they don't even know who the fuck he is. So then the one guy's just like, "Oh fuck, shit's going bad. I'm going back to my failsafe box," but he doesn't know the friend discovered the failsafe box and has been using said failsafe box for personal shit and the whole thing. And they do this weird thing where like, there's physical tolls that happens by traveling in time too much that they don't know about. Like one dude's ears just start bleeding. One dude passes out. Both of them, their handwriting just goes to shits. Like they're
Seems realistic to me.
and they don't know why. They don't know what's caused. They assume it's the time travel, obviously, but shit like that. Like I like consequences that you don't know about and you don't completely understand because no one's ever done this shit before.
That's
right?
the way it would be with time travel.
That's
You
exactly
don't
what it
know
is.
what's going to happen, what problems you're going to cause.
Well, there would always be
all of
learning as
that.
you go. There would
Yeah.
have to be.
And that's why the movie's really good and really smart because it explores all. It gets really convoluted. It's one of those movies that it's hard to follow, and if you Google it online, people have made like flow charts and like tracking the different timelines and the different passes. No, it's literally
This
like,
is why there's always
it's
a
fucking
point
crazy.
where I'm like, I don't get
but
it.
there are YouTube videos that very much like guide you through like in
Get them all our yarn. We're running some
Yeah.
strings on this chart.
So this sounds interesting. Weapon 2,
Bless those
honestly,
people.
this would be up your. You should really watch this.
I'm
It'd be
gonna
up your
watch
alley.
it.
I think we should watch it, but here's the thing: have we already spent an hour just on number 5 without even getting to Weapon 2 over
This
there?
isn't episode 24. Calm down.
I'm not gonna talk as long for these, okay? I'm just telling you.
My number 5 is Primer. Check it out. Give it a
All righty. My number 5 is Looper.
All right.
Looper is a movie with Bruce Willis in it and who Joseph Gordon-Levitt, is that his name?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. So, and actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt does a good job of trying to play a young
If
Bruce
you're gonna have
Willis.
trouble saying his name, you could shorten it to Jogo Lev.
Jogo Lev? Okay.
Yeah.
Jogo Lev plays a young Bruce Willis pretty good. He does a pretty good job
I like him.
acting.
He's a good
mannerisms.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
The makeup threw me off, though.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do that, but it's fine.
I mean, but his facial expression. See, I never rewatched any of these, so I'm going completely on like memory, so which is horrible on me. I'm too old. But so if I remember the storyline for Looper was he is a hitman for the future mafia, and in the future they track people too well. I don't know. They're all chipped or something where they can keep track of people. So they have to send them to the past to kill them. So he just waits in like some cornfield or somewhere where he's put out a tarp where they drop out of the sky, Terminator style, onto the tarp, and he just shoots them. So when we start getting crazy here is when himself from the future, older him, comes back and he's got to shoot himself. But he knows what's going down because he used to be the guy doing the shooting. So he knows how to keep from getting killed.
You'd think there'd be other people. So they would drop him down.
Yeah,
into
it is
somebody
kind of a
else.
weird thing where you send yourself back to kill yourself. It's kind of weird. Seems like something that might go awry. Might be some, what do you call that? I don't even know what the name of the word is for it. But anyways, so
I got questions.
So what happens is he knows what happens is he gets to retire from his spot of the younger guy killing, and then he gets to go on from that point and live a nice happy life until it's time for him to get killed. But his wife at the time, where he's lived a long, happy life with, gets killed by the mafia guys. So that's when he decides he needs to kill the guy who invented time travel in the first place when he's a little boy. So when he comes back, his job is to kill the little boy who invents time travel in the first place. It gets crazy, but then I don't know if I want to. Am I not supposed to spoil this?
Don't
I'm not going to spoil it.
I thought
but
you said you were going to
there's
keep this short.
So what happens is this thing is a vicious cycle that keeps feeding itself. Where what he does is he kills the little boy's mom, which makes the little boy mad, which makes him want to invent time travel, which the time travel is what causes all the problems in the first place for the guy's wife to get killed. Vicious circle.
Paradox.
So the younger Joe Golev?
Yeah.
Okay, Joe Golev decides that he's going to break the cycle. I'm not going to tell you how that happens, but he does. And so that's it. Looper.
Okay. So
You said you had questions.
Yeah. What are your
Hailstorm,
questions?
did you have questions?
No, I think you answered them.
Did I?
All right. I really like the movie Looper. My only issue is, as you mentioned earlier, it totally breaks its own rules.
It does break its own rules.
It
Yeah.
just establishes its rules, and it's like, fuck our rules. And like, so they have, what they do is, but they sacrifice the logic for some really, really good scenes. It's almost like when you sacrifice the logic of a scene for a really good shot. That's kind of what they do. And the shots are great, like about the dude getting hacked up and him like coming apart as he's running to try to stop him.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything about that is wrong, but super cool. Or like carving the fucking name of the waitress on his arm to know to show up. Again, that's not the way time travel works, as you've established it, but super cool scene.
Right.
There's so much about it that are cool, and I love how the life Bruce Willis has led is different than the one his younger self is going to lead. So his wife, his memories are actively changing as he's interacting with himself.
Right.
And there's scenes where he has to sit there, pull out the picture of his wife, and be like, remember her, remember her, remember. Like, fucking gripping. So it's a good movie if you can get past all that kind of shit. So
Yeah.
good number 5.
All right.
I think in time travel movies, one of the things that you have to do is stop going, but wait a minute. Because even if they've established it,
You have to suspend your
really,
disbelief.
you really have to suspend your disbelief because you can really wrap your head around. I mean, these
just
are
gotta
movie
enjoy the
makers,
story.
not scientists. So they're just fitting it into the box
Right.
to make it work. And if you ask too many questions, I think that you can dislike a movie that's probably a good movie.
Well, and it's funny though, because we pick and choose what we want to suspend our disbelief for. Like that kind of
No,
movie.
I try to suspend mine all the time.
Well, I'll be like, well, that doesn't make sense because time travel is like this, but Superman can totally fly.
Right.
Total sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, I try to suspend mine as much as possible. There are some movies, and nothing comes to mind right now, but where everything, I mean, where it's just so badly written that nothing is coming together.
And that's the thing. This movie, the story's great, and it's written well, and it's acted well. So, like, you look past all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Weapon 2 is one of the people that he'll watch a movie, and it'll be a superhero movie, but there will be things he'll call out as not realistic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's a movie about people flying. So, I mean, I'm sorry that they, whatever it is.
It's what I call the Jurassic World
Give me
paradox.
5 examples.
Here's my big issue is, so in Jurassic World, when Bryce Dallas Howard, I believe is her name, goes and lets out the T-Rex, and the T-Rex chasing her, and there's a slow-mo shot of her running from the T-Rex, and the T-Rex is chasing her, and then everybody's issue with this scene is like, there's no way she could run in high heels. And I'm like, that's your line in the sand. She's being chased by a genetically engineered fucking dinosaur, and this is your realism line.
Yeah. From mosquito DNA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
None of this makes sense. I
Yeah.
can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Number 4. Go.
But that's exactly the
Yes.
thing. It's like people saying that wouldn't happen. Well, actually, none of this would happen. Thank you. It's not a documentary. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
She likes to throw that at me during
The-
movies.
the
It's not a documentary. Yeah.
What about when you're watching a documentary?
No, she doesn't throw that out there.
yeah, because then it is.
It is a documentary at that point.
Duh.
All right, number 4.
But she still
Okay.
doesn't like me criticizing the movie, even though it's a documentary. But go for it.
So, in the interest of moving things along quickly, and also in the interest of the fact that I only ever watched this movie one time years ago and didn't rewatch it, wanted to rewatch it so that I would sound like I knew what I was talking about, but didn't. So, I can't remember much. Men in Black 3, number 2, or number 4.
Men in Black 3, number 4?
My number 4 movie is Men in
okay.
Black 3.
I was not tracking. Gotcha.
Yes,
Okay.
next.
Okay.
Look, I've moved our time.
Okay. I guess that's the end of it. She's
Yeah,
just.
there's time travel. They travel back in time. They have the James Brolin playing a younger Tommy Lee Jones.
Fucking amazing.
Yes, because everybody.
Him playing Tommy Lee
Yes.
Jones was so fucking good.
Right, because everybody has wanted that since James Brolin came of age and started looking just like Tommy
Yeah.
Lee Jones.
Best
So
casting ever.
yes, like that movie. Can't remember anything other than that. I've failed everybody right now, but
You're good.
Had I rewatched it, I would have more to say.
It's a good movie. I enjoy that movie.
Okay.
All right, good number 4. My number 4. So this is one where time travel is a pivotal point of the movie, but it's not like the point of the movie. But it's a good fucking movie that involves time travel, so fuck it, I'm counting it. Interstellar. I don't know if you guys have watched Interstellar. It's Christopher Nolan written and directed. Stars Matthew McConaughey's. So, movie one of the most gorgeous movies you'll ever seen. Such a great use of practical effects. They even got astrophysicists to actually do the math to figure out.
When I said
the way.
I was still trying to remember whether I've seen it, so I can't say for sure. I feel like
they tried. They tried to make the science as real as possible. They got astrophysicists to actually try to do the math to figure out hypothetically how this would work and all that. And the story of this movie is, it's toward the end of the world, and the world isn't ending by some catastrophic event. We just fuck the world up real bad, and shit's not growing anymore. All we can grow is corn, and even that's fucked. Most of the population is dying, and it's predicted within like the next lifetime, the human race is going to be wiped out. Matthew McConaughey's character was a pilot, was like a NASA dude, and now it's basically like, no, everybody's a fucking farmer because that's what the species needs to survive. He ends up finding out that NASA's still going.
You said he was a NASA dude. I thought you said he was an acid dude.
That's what I thought too.
NASA dude.
LSD?
An acid dude. Yeah.
So anyway, he embarks on a mission to go. They sent out a bunch of astronauts, including Matt Damon, to go try to find inhabitable worlds. And if any one of their worlds could maintain human life, they were going to recolonize that. If not, they were going to find a new world and colonize it with a bunch of embryos and shit like that we had set up.
Is this
he
the one
like
where
a
they sent out
single
three
dad?
different groups out? Different groups of three? I have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he like a single dad or something?
He is.
Has to
He
leave
has
his
two
kid?
children.
Okay.
He has to leave the youngest one behind, Murph, who he has a huge emotional
do
connection with.
remember this.
And it's super sad when it leaves because he doesn't even know like if he's going to be able to come back in her lifetime because the way relativity works and all that. And it's super sad. And he's gone, ends up being gone for a long fucking time relative to her. Like, not to him, but to her. Anyway, moral of the story is...
Well, and the whole thing is the size of the planet makes time speed up or slow down.
Right. Which
so
is scientifically correct.
Yeah.
So he's not gone. To him, he's not gone that long.
Right.
To her, he's gone 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
Right. So, but where the actual science fiction plays into this is because of various events that happen, he has to dive fucking balls deep into this black hole, which visually stunning. Christopher Nolan visually at his best. It is amazing. Like, I saw this in IMAX and my mind was blown.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Super fucking cool. Well, he ends up coming into a construct, basically, and this is a theory that's also out there, is that time is essentially the fourth dimension. We just can't interact with it yet, but our future selves can. And they construct an environment that allows him to go back in time and see his daughter when she was a child and interact with the room and interact with her and give her the equation that helps her figure out the gravity problem, which allows them to be able to go recolonize other planets. Basically, he saves the human race by being able to interact with her through the fucking future people constructing time travel the way he would be able to interact with it. They change it from 4-dimensional to 3-dimensional to allow him to be able to send her a message through time, and it's his love and his connection to her that allows them to be able to do that. Really, it's a long movie, but it's visually gorgeous. A lot of people, like, they fell off at the end because before this time travel element gets introduced in the third act, it is super science. It's super ground. It's like everything seems plausible, and then it goes hard sci-fi, and they emphasize that his love for his daughter is what allows him to do this. Didn't lose me at all. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I loved the ending. I loved everything about it. It's great. Definitely check it out if you haven't. And if you just want something very visual and like the sound is amazing, it's Nolan. What the fuck would you expect? If you have a big TV and you have a sound system, watch it for the visuals if nothing else. But the story is actually fantastic. So
If I recall, that movie made me cry.
it gets me teary-eyed. It makes me cry.
It's
good.
Yeah.
It is a good movie. I don't know why all this hate came. Like, a lot of people say Nolan fell off with this movie, and I'm like, you're wrong.
No,
This is a
I
great
think
movie.
it was a good movie.
Yeah, that's my number 4.
All right. My number 4 is X-Men Days of Future Past.
Nice.
Now, so in this movie, it's an existence where the super high-tech Sentinels have powers to duplicate all the powers of all the mutants and use them against them. They're exterminating them all. They're all being killed off. They're desperate. It's the end of mutant kind if they don't figure out what to do. So they decide they're going to send Wolverine to the past. This movie with old Magneto and old Xavier, going back to see young versions of them. Pretty cool. A lot of good actors in this thing. And he goes back. Now, when he goes back, is he a younger version of himself or the same?
His consciousness is sent back to his younger body, but he doesn't age.
Yes.
So
his consciousness goes back to his younger version of himself. But yes, he's a guy who doesn't age very much, so he looks pretty close to the same. but he doesn't have his adamantium claws yet. He has the bone claws. So he's trying to get used to, and we all know time travel is hard on the psyche. So he's having a hard time now. The reason they sent him back is he's got his healing factor, so it's going to cause all kinds of like brain trauma and stuff, but he's going to heal. He's the only one who can survive. That's why they send him back, right?
Yeah, I would have killed anyone else.
Yes. And so that's why he goes back. And what he needs to do is to make the government not think that they need to hire Peter Dinklage to create the Sentinel program from stolen DNA from Mystique, which is how they get these Sentinels that can mimic all the powers, right? Am I on
those
line?
are the future ones, evolve into that.
So he's got to stop all that. He's got to do some good PR with the government for mutant kind and change everybody's. You got to win the hearts and minds of the fellow mutants so that they don't want to attack the government and make them feel like they need to create the Sentinels. So that's what happens. A lot of stuff, a lot of action. Good. It's of all the X-Men movies, that's a really good X-Men movie.
Of all the actual, not including the standalone Wolverine or Deadpool movies, just X-Men, this is far and away the best X-Men movie.
It's a good one.
Days of Future Past is probably my favorite X-Men comic. Yeah. This movie is amazing. It's an honorable mention for me. Spoilers. Yeah. But the thing that this movie did brilliantly was have the cast of the original movies, the original trilogy, and the new trilogy that they were doing interact. And are you fucking like you have the trailer and you give me the scene of McAvoy and Patrick Stewart interacting with each other, and fucking Patrick Stewart looks at McAvoy. He's like, "Please, we need you to hope again." Ah! Are you fucking kidding? That was so good. That was so fucking good. And then it tanked. But that movie's fantastic. Sorry. That was a good pick, sir.
Yeah. And Magneto picks up a whole baseball stadium. Was that a baseball stadium?
Yeah. And he just dropped. And then I love Wolverine comes at him and he doesn't have the claws, but he sends a bunch of like rebar and stuff in there. And just chucks him into the stratosphere. Just get the fuck out of here.
Runs it through him and ties it in knots and stuff and shakes him and he drowns and that's crazy. It's a good movie.
And then Fassbender and McAvoy in the plane when fucking McAvoy's like, "You abandoned us." He's like, Fassbender's like, "You abandoned us, Charlie." Starts yelling and the plane starts like bending and creaking. Yeah. Oh, God, it's so good.
And the young Charles doesn't have his powers.
No.
Because he had given him up. Yeah, he's a junkie, but he can walk now because that was part of the thing, right? It was just, oh, man, that was good.
Fassbender and McAvoy make those newer movies, like the later trilogy, and they are at their peak in this. They are fan-fucking-tastic. Wolverine's like a side note. Like, who gives a fuck about Hugh Jackman in that movie, even though he's the main star? Yeah. Dude, they're so good.
Yep.
That was a good pick. Shit. Sorry.
All right.
You guys are so adorable.
Shut up. We're totes adorable.
You know what I was thinking during that, though? And I do this a lot during every podcast. I think about what we could have put on the table and didn't. And that was some more. We could have put some X-Men on the table.
If we all knew each other's picks like we could. But I like not knowing, though.
Yeah. God.
Hey, no, we're winning. Come on.
It's a good podcast.
Yeah, tell us your third.
Yeah.
My third is The Terminator.
Which one? The Terminator. The first one. My bad. Yeah. Nice.
Yep. I remember, well, I think I've said this before. I remember watching that movie for the first time and just being blown away. And so I think, that still goes into my memories of that movie. So that's why I picked that one. There may have been subsequent ones that were better for time travel and it played a bigger part. But that's the one where I was just like, holy shit, look at what we're doing with movies right now.
That movie was groundbreaking. That was revolutionary. And even I'm a bigger fan of Terminator 2, but if anyone's just like, I like Terminator 1 better, I'd be like, all right, no, you're not wrong. Like, we just have a different opinion, and that's totally fine.
When you watched it, I watched it as a little kid in somebody's house, probably playing on TV. It was probably on network TV. I didn't see it in the movie theater. And I just still remember being like, oh my God, what is this? Like, everything about it was so amazing. So, yes, it fits into time travel, and I put it in there because I will probably put that movie anywhere I can fit it.
Just try to wiggle it in there.
Right. Like, hey, will the Terminator fit in here? But it is a time travel movie. John Connor's
it's
coming back.
Yeah, Yeah. It's not even kind of a time travel movie. Like, it's definitely a time travel movie.
But, it's not like they're going back and forth, and it's not a movie about time travel so much as it's about him trying to...
Well, the robot's coming back from the future to kill Hill,
Yeah,
the
but
guy
it's
who
not-
created, no.
It's
go
not
back like
like
30 years.
It's not like your movie about paint. What was that, Primer?
There's not 6 versions of them.
Primer is not paint. It's the application before the painting process.
That's true. Bam.
Lawyered.
You're right. But what I'm saying is that it's not a whole movie about them trying to figure out
Right.
how to invent time travel and all that. It's not the
Right.
time machine, but it's,
But that's kind of the pivotal thing in the plot.
oh
though.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
But
It's totally a legitimate choice for this. You did not have to force it in. Good job.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and also, as I recall, that was one of the first really, like I grew up past Planet of the Apes, and so this was like the first movie about time travel that I remember watching where I was just like, holy crap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Pick.
Nice.
Nice. Can't even get mad at that.
Work.
Are there picks you do get mad about?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
My number 3. This one was hard for me to put on the list, and it's funny because it's number 3. It's not even like number 5. Because it's to me, I know it's a time travel movie, but it's not like a time travel movie. It's not what I think of when I think time travel movies. The same way when it was.
So what you're saying is it's a time travel movie, but it's not a time travel movie.
It's the same
Not
way
with all
when
caps.
Hailstorm put it in her post-apocalyptic movies. I was like, bullshit. That's not what that is.
I think you're about to say my honorable mention.
It's Avengers Endgame.
Yep. It's my
Okay.
honorable mention because I thought, oh yeah, it's totally a time travel movie, and everybody else is gonna have it.
No. Well, yeah, sure. But it is a time travel. The second act is all about time travel. Like,
Right.
It's all about them figuring out how to go back in time. The whole movie is about them figuring out how to go back in time.
But again, it's
even-
not like it's the time machine.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's the point of the movie,
Right.
but it's totally the plot device that gets the movie fucking moving forward.
Right.
And we even have like past selves interacting and fighting each other. So I'm just like, that's totally a time travel movie. And it's just one of my favorite fucking movies of all time. So there's no way it couldn't be on this list. Like there's so many other movies that I'm like, that's a time travel movie, but I'm like, this is definitely about time travel. It's one of my favorite movies. It's one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. I can't not put it on the list, and I'm not going to talk it to death because we've done that a lot, but that's my number 3.
By the way, that was one of the ones that I suspected you were going to have on your list that
but
I
was
did
this-
not put on my list.
I was this close to not having it
did-
on there.
Well, I'm glad you did because I didn't put it on there because I thought you were going to
But
put
you know
it on
what?
there.
I was also this close to Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past
Yeah?
just barely got bumped, so I'm happy you put it
Okay.
on yours.
You know what? I'm
Nice.
glad that we have not had so much overlap.
I told you, I didn't think that would happen. I think number 1 might
I
be
think
kind
as
of
we
the
move
same.
up, we're
Yeah.
gonna have more overlap. But
Well, this one is probably going to be some overlap because it's one that I couldn't not put on my list, even though it's completely obvious, and that is Back to the Future.
That's an
Which
honorable
one?
mention for me.
Yes.
which one?
Number 1.
Okay.
Okay. Because that is your kind of just, I guess your classic textbook time travel movie that's super big pop culture. Whole everything. It was all about the time travel. That's what the whole thing was about. Even the name. So what happens is what's his name? Marty McFly. Is because I haven't seen this movie in a long time. He's cruising around. He's visiting the professor. The professor he's got the DeLorean out there. He's made himself a time machine. He's and he's got all these gadgets and they're feeding his dog and all this kind of stuff. And so he's out trying to do some time travel of some sort. And I can't remember if somehow Marty McFly sees him get murdered by some terrorists.
Because he powers the time machine with plutonium and he tricks
Yes,
some
and he
Iranians into
he
thinking he
stole
was
it
making
from
a
him.
bomb.
Yes.
Stole it from the Libyans.
The Libyans. And so
Yes.
they come back to kill him.
Exactly.
By the way, making a time machine out of a DeLorean, fucking baller.
That was my father's favorite car when I was a kid. He
I
used
would
to talk
buy that
about
car
how
now.
awesome DeLoreans
My
are all the
aunt
time.
dated a guy that had a DeLorean after Back to the Future came out, and I just remember it being in her driveway
Was
and
he?
me thinking we had hit the
Did he
big
snort
time.
a lot of cocaine
Probably.
like
Dude.
DeLorean himself?
Who knows? Never met the guy.
saw
Only
one
met his car.
in the parking lot of a movie theater, and we're just like mint condition.
It's
We're like,
happening!
"Ah!" We were like taking pictures and shit. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
And so somehow, I guess, to escape the Libyans, Marty McFly jumps into the time travel DeLorean and starts trying to escape in it and winds up going back to when he was a kid. Now, I can't remember if he already knew that his family was fading away, or he just started to discover that in the past.
He goes back to that date because as Doc was showing him, we can go anywhere we want to go, and he's like, the birth of Jesus, the Roman Empire. He's like, the date I figured out time travel, that happened to be the date that was set. Gets in it, drives away, hits it, only has enough or whatever for one trip, and then he's stuck there. He's not born yet. His mom and dad are in high school, and this is where his interference
when does his older brother start disappearing on the picture? That's what I want to know.
Later in the movie, when he realizes him interacting with his parents fucked up their initial meeting.
When he was Calvin Klein.
When Calvin
Klein shows up, his mother,
because of the label on his underwear,
starts getting a crush on Calvin Klein.
Paging Dr. Freud. Paging Dr. Freud.
Getting in the way of her
boning his dad.
Getting with his dad. Which McFly was his name? Which dad's name?
Marty.
Nick Fly.
Isn't that Marty?
No,
Marty's the main character.
The son.
Ah, shit.
I can't remember.
Keep talking. It'll come to me.
But Biff is always pounding him on the head, calling him names. Yeah. And so he's got to save his dad from Biff, stick up for him, arrange for his mother to try to fall in love with her dad and not to think about him as Calvin Klein. And so he figures out over
George
time,
McFly.
George McFly figures out how to do that and set it up so that they will fall in love. Now, in his regular life, before he went back in time, his mom was not a big fan of his dad. I kind of thought he was not cool at all.
She was also fat.
And
his dad was a loser.
And Biff was still a complete dick to him in his future. And so what he does was when he goes back, he makes his dad cool. And so in his new future, when he comes back, they're doing well and have a nice house. And Marty has a cool Jeep or something waiting for him in the garage.
His dad also punches out Biff. So now Biff is his bitch.
Yeah, he has changed his dad's life for the better. And they're all happy and loving life and doing well. And then at the end of that movie, there's an emergency where the doc shows up and they've got to go out into the new flying time machine to go to Back to the Future 2.
Because it's about your kids.
It's about your kids.
Yep.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Right. So that was my number 3.
Sorry.
Back to the Future.
Good pick. Friend of the show, Alias, has never seen these movies. Just saying.
What?
I've seen them. I don't remember them.
That's worse. That's worse.
Number 2 for me is, and I know that I feel like you guys are going to laugh at this one. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Number 2. The number 2.
Lol.
The number 2 Austin Powers. When they
Can I
go
let
back
you
in
know
time
that
to
that was on my list at one time?
Also,
yeah?
So good one. Yeah.
So you're saying Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's when they went back to 1969.
That Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, is an honorable mention for me. I love those movies.
Does he time travel in that one?
There's a lot of time travel in a lot of those
frozen
movies.
and then wakes up in the future. I consider that
That's
time travel.
totally different.
How is that totally
That's
different?
suspended animation.
Yes.
But he goes from 67 to 97.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
but
he's frozen.
The time, there's
Doesn't matter how he gets there?
No,
Yeah.
that's
If
yeah.
you went from
all
right
those
now
times.
and then you went 30 years
Let me ask
tomorrow,
you a question. Does Captain America time travel just because he got frozen in the ice?
Yes.
No,
No.
that's not time travel,
This is
bro.
a kangaroo court.
That is being in suspended animation while time goes by.
To him, he experiences as I'm in 1940 whatever.
His body,
I'm in 20 whatever now.
His body experienced all those
immediately- it
years,
doesn't matter.
whether he aged or not.
Okay.
That is
not
not
Austin
time
Powers.
travel.
That's totally time travel.
No.
This isn't even on my list.
No.
Why are we arguing about it?
Because you're
Because it's
wrong.
fun. That's why.
No. Let us know in the comments. Is that time travel or not?
Not time travel. Anyway,
So you're not on this. You don't get to talk until you watch Rocky. All the astrophysicists who watch this show, let us know in the comments.
it's not time travel. There's not even math involved. They just have to freeze somebody and hope they thaw out all right.
Gotta get
right.
him at
There's
there's math. Gotta get him at the right temperature.
That's not really math. I feel like
You're not on this episode, and you haven't watched Rocky. When you know who Clubber Lang is, when you tell me who Clubber Lang is, then you go watch this movie. You don't know who Clubber Lang is, you don't get to say shit.
she can have my seat.
I pity the fool. Doesn't know who Clubber Lang is. Mr. T. Spoilers. Go
Love
ahead.
Mr. T. Okay, so Austin Powers is Spy Who Shagged Me. Not my favorite female on the series. I am not a huge fan of Heather Graham. I think she's kind of vapid, but that's the debut of Mini-Me.
It is.
Oh
Yes.
my God, I love
And
Mini-Me.
Fat
That's
Bastard, I
so-
believe,
yes.
isn't he? Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the two characters between Mini-Me and Fat Bastard, so amazing. I mean, that's what makes number 2 more... I love number 2 more than number 1 on Austin Powers.
I'll give her that. You're right, though. Elizabeth Hurley's way better in the first movie.
She's way better,
Yeah.
way better, way better female
Right.
as a supporting, but the rest,
that
added
movie's a little bit more
characters-
fun, I think.
Yeah.
3
I loved
kind
it.
of.
Right, it was 3 with Beyonce. Yeah.
Not because of her, she was fine. Just the movie. It was kind of going downhill at that
Yeah.
point.
Do you know where the idea of Mini-Me came from?
Somebody's head.
Came from the
Can I confirm?
island of Dr. Monroe or whatever.
Oh,
is that?
yeah.
Monroe.
Whatever his name is.
Monroe.
Where
Another H.G. Wells.
where there
one,
was
Island of
where was
Monroe.
the mini what's his face oh my goodness,
Me?
I'm so old. No, the actor Marlon Brando.
Oh, you're talking about the movie. The book
Yes,
was
the movie.
H.G. Wells, who
So
also wrote The Time Machine.
But there wasn't the little tiny person.
And he also write 20,000
was
Leagues of
number
Lucy.
one.
No.
Marlon Brando demanded that in that movie.
Really?
And yes, and the scene where he's playing a grand piano and there's a miniature grand piano on top of his grand piano with the Mini-Me playing the grand piano. That was the thing that sparked the whole Mini-Me in those movies.
I love Mini-Me.
Yeah, that was crazy, and it is funny that Marlon Brando, that was a demand that he had in that movie. I need a little tiny version of me.
You know what? Sometimes the crazy genius is actually
that I made
got
in
some
some
good
test
ideas.
tube somewhere.
Yeah. Do you remember the South Park spoof off of the Isle of Dr. Moreau?
Yes. It was so good.
This monkey only has 2 butts. It's of no use to me.
And here is a monkey with 4 asses. And here is the cow with 4 asses.
Okay,
All right.
so that was my number 2.
Nice.
My number 2. Back to the Future. Part 2.
Okay,
Yes.
here we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm in probably the minority in that I like Back to the Future 2 better in Part 1. I admit I love Back to the Future Part 1. I understand why that is a classic movie in a lot of people's brains. I was thinking about this. I think as a child, I saw 2 first. I think that's, I don't know,
Really?
I think that's why.
That makes sense based on your timeline.
Yes.
And you were hooked on hoverboards? Is that why?
Dude, I was so pissed when 2015 rolled around and I don't have a fucking hoverboard. But anyway, I like both of them and I think they're very much a package deal. Like you should really just watch both of them together back to back if you're going to watch them.
Yeah.
But
you can skip 3.
But you can skip 3. 2 to me though has some of the most iconic moments in the franchise. It has the hoverboards, it has the flying cars, it has so many things that have just been in pop culture like 30, 40 years later, whatever it is. Not only that, this was the first movie that I remember introducing the concept of a multiple timeline. Like they go back to 1985 and everything's radically different because one thing was changed. And then when Doc Brown pulls out the whiteboard and he's draws out when the alternate timeline happened, that was the first time I ever personally saw a movie break that shit down. And I just remember being the stakes. I was like, oh my God, everything's on the line. I have to see what happens. When's Power Rangers? I have time to see what's gonna happen. Because I was a little Captain Mouth. I was Little Mouth. But even at that point, had seen Rocky. So I'm just watching Back to the Future Part 2, and I'm just the stakes were high. It's the interacting with the alternate versions of yourself. So many things of that movie. I feel like it did everything the first movie did, and just upped the ante. Everything was it was just bigger and better and crazier. The future tech, where you get a pizza roll, put it in the microwave, hit a button, you have a whole pizza.
Yep.
So much about that shit just sticks in my brain, and it's just so much fun to watch. And they accurately predicted a few things that did happen, which was pretty funny. And to me, I just enjoy that movie better personally. But if Back to the Future is on your list, I can't argue that at all. That's technically, I think, the better movie. I just like Back to the Future Part 2 better. I don't care what Patreon member Nathan Lynn says. Back to the Future 3 sucks. How dare you? You're wrong.
He likes Back to the Future 3?
I asked him what his list would be, and he said Part 3. And I'm like, why? He's like, quote, flying trains, son. And I was just like, get the hell out of here.
Do you think that he was just kind of patronizing you because of the train?
No, he straight up asked me which one's the Western.
What?
Yeah.
With Mary Steenburgen?
I don't care who she is. The only funny thing about that was Doc Brown's cameo in that freaking Seth Green. Was it Seth Green? That Western movie he made, 1,000 Ways to Die in the West? When he walks in the barn and Doc's there, like, covering up something. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. But,
That's funny.
But that's my number 2.
Very
Back to the
obscure.
Future Part 2. Yeah.
My number 2 is Groundhog Day.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did not expect that to be an overlap.
It's good. It's that's because it was such a classic movie. I mean, you've already explained basically, I think, the whole premise of you just coming back, and I think what it is he was such a despicable person, and I think that over time and repeating the day over and over and over again, he discovers that he wants to be a good person. So he's going through the process trying to do good for others. And I think there's a lot of people who think that this is kind of a purgatory story of where he's a bad person, he's in purgatory.
Shit,
and he's
I never thought of
trying
that.
to earn his way out.
Fuck.
By there's some
I did hear that before.
There's some people who think that the insurance salesman is the devil.
Oh, nice.
And what he's trying to do is get him to sell his soul with the insurance contract. And that some people say he didn't get out until he finally agrees to the insurance and sells his soul to the devil.
I wish I remembered exactly what it is that he says, because he says the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You know, I bet it wasn't meant that way, but holy shit, does that fit?
Yes, and some people, one of the theories is, when he was trying to leave town and that snowstorm that he said wasn't coming, and then he realizes that it's coming and he's freezing out there, that he died then, and that's why he was in purgatory, living this day over and over again until he becomes a better person. So there's all kinds of theories about this. One of the things that was real, though, is that the director, who was his buddy in Ghostbusters, that got the glasses, what's his name? That was in
Harold Ramis.
Yeah. He was a director. He was a guy who was producing the whole thing and directing. Do you know they got in an argument during this movie that they never fixed until he was actually dying?
Yep.
And then they finally made amends before he died. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
They got in a fight during this movie.
I hadn't seen this movie in so long.
I can hold a grudge that long. I totally get it.
And so they say, I guess he was going through a divorce too at the time. So he was, Bill Murray.
He was fragile.
Bill Murray was having a bad time during this making of this movie. Anyways, they say, the director said that this movie was supposed to take time over a 30 to 40 year period. He was living the same day over and over again.
Holy crap.
I don't think you get that from it, though.
You don't.
Because she doesn't age.
Yeah. You don't.
Well, I mean, I guess
you're not going to if you're living the same day. You're not going to live. You're not going to age a single day.
Yeah.
But they say that that's how long, theoretically, when they were making the movie in their imagination, that this guy was living the same day over and over again. That time span.
That sucks.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
So that's it. Groundhog Day was my number 2.
All right.
I feel closer to you just from that.
We are closer.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I feel like we've bonded.
It's almost like we know each other.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your number 1, Hailstorm?
My number 1.
Yeah.
Back to the Future 2.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I am amazed. I am shocked and amazed that you didn't name the one thing that makes that movie just fucking unbelievable.
What's that?
Biff Tannen, President.
Oh, yeah. President Biff.
So, Bob Gale, the writer of Back to the Future 2, has admitted that was modeled after Donald Trump.
I was about to say President Trump, because that's exactly what that is.
Not even a prediction. prediction. He's basically said it was us imagining the worst case scenario.
2020.
But it's so fucking amazing that this guy who heads a casino ends up like manipulating himself into being.
He even looks like Trump. The hair, like it's totally Trump.
Yeah, and so that part's amazing. I also want to point out a fun fact. So Crispin Glover is known widely. Crispin Glover played George McFly in Back to the Future.
That is correct. Yes,
he's widely known as being pretty much a cuckoo.
Yeah.
He's pretty eccentric. So I can't remember if it was because they couldn't get him to sign a deal or because he demanded too much money or just because he was being his normal weird self. But they couldn't get him for number 2 or they wouldn't use him for number 2.
That's why he was dead. Spoilers.
So no, it's not. Every time they film him, it's like a back shot or they use a stand-in and they also, I think they used old footage for some of it every time they use him.
Huh.
So every time they use him, it's either recycled footage or it's a stand-in because they couldn't get him.
Okay, I was thinking in the future where he's at, where Trump's there, his dad is dead, but he does go back in time and change the interactions in 55. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, let's not forget that Back to the Future 2 was the debut of our favorite little Hobbit guy, Elijah Wood. He was playing a video game in the arcade.
Oh,
that was him.
Yeah.
You have to use your hands. It's a baby's toy.
So I other than that, I saw Back to the Future in the movie theater. It came out in 1985, and I remember that because in the movie they mentioned that it's 1985, but I saw it in 1986 because that's how quickly movies got to us. But and also I went to Expo 86 in Vancouver, Canada, and they had this cardboard stand-in of Marty McFly in the red vest.
I also went to Expo 86 in Vancouver.
What? We could have been there at the same time.
I was in my high school band. I went there to play the slide trombone.
You played trombone?
I sure did, bro.
He sure did. 4th chair.
Yeah.
I played trombone for 4 fucking years. I sort of.
Were you the 4th chair?
I was 1st or 2nd chair.
I was
good
4th
at
chair.
this shit.
You guys
I
should
think
play.
maybe one time I moved up to 3rd chair.
Because the first chair was sick.
Apparently, I was like naturally good at the shit for some reason. I could rock a trombone. Sorry, go ahead.
Judd Alexander was 1st chair.
Yeah.
Raymond Crine was 2nd.
Those fucks,
Katie Moeller was 3rd.
bitch.
And I held 4th chair. That's right.
Be careful now. Some of those people he still interacts with on Facebook.
Yeah, and they're
Friend of the show.
They are completely awesome people. All
Yes.
of them.
All right, I retract my
Just
previous
because
statement.
I could not play the slide trombone well enough to hold a higher chair standing is not anybody else's fault, but maybe my own.
True story.
Yeah.
Totally your own fault.
So anyway, Expo 86 took a picture, Polaroid picture with the Marty McFly cardboard stand-in, took it back to my 6th grade class and told everybody that was me with, what's his real name?
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox.
You tried to make everybody
I was
believe that
kid.
you, oh my goodness, you poor thing.
It's embarrassing. I know. They probably didn't believe it because it was him. It was him in the classic Back to the Future pose where he's like, you know what? My memory has blocked that, so I'm pretty sure.
No, they did not believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Nice.
so Back to the Future, the first one has nostalgia for me,
Right.
but the second one, I think if I were to pick side by side, the better movie, number 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. My number 1. So I've often said if I was going to make my personal top 10 movies list of all time, this movie would not only be on there, it would probably be like top 5. It would be very high. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Movie that I could watch over and over and over again. One of the best examples of time travel, of action. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I love this movie. And I feel like it's not necessarily better than Terminator 1. It's different. Terminator 1 is a fucking horror movie. It is a horror action movie. This movie, straight up action movie, quintessential 90s action.
Well, some of the effects on 2 with the guy with the liquid,
The T-1000
whatever,
liquid
yeah.
metal. So
Yeah.
talking of the effects, so in Terminator 1, the effects that they used, the practical effects for the Terminator's face and all that kind of stuff, they were good at the time, but you watch them now and they've kind of aged a little. Terminator 2, I could put that Blu-ray in right now and you would watch the effects with the liquid metal and be like, holy crap, that still looks amazing.
And he was so terrifying.
Because it is Industrial Light and Magic, who are probably the best special effects company in the business, and especially at that time, we're knocking out hit after hit after hit, big blockbuster movies that all look amazing. Yes, he was terrifying. Like, how do you top how terrifying Arnold was in that first movie when you have Arnold being the one protecting you, and then that guy's just wrecking him?
And he's no match.
And there's so
that was
many
such a good movie.
iconic. Like, my favorite scene in that entire movie is Sarah Connor escaping the asylum, and her running down the hallway, and then Arnold walks out the freaking elevator,
and she
turns the
freaks
corner,
out.
and her freaking out.
She's trying to stop
and she's
get back.
sliding. Oh my god, that is amazing.
Well, and just the scene of her, the fact that she's a total badass now. She's completely signed on to this is her role. She has to save the world.
Her transition from movie one to movie, she's a totally different person.
Yeah.
And I love the look on the doctor's face, who thinks she's crazy, justifiably so.
Yeah.
And when he sees the T-1000 walk through the door, he just his mouth opens and he drops the syringe that he had in there.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this is real.
I think the amazing thing about 2 versus 1 is that there was immense amounts of character development that happened in the space of the 2 movies.
Right.
So it's not even like you had to sit there and watch it. It just, you open with the second movie and you're watching it, which I remember watching it in the theater. And I just remember being like, well, what can they do?
Right.
And just being like, from the beginning.
And that works on a couple levels because you're right, entire character arcs happened in between the 2 movies.
In space, yeah.
But you're so, if you watched 1 and then you watch 2, you're so vested in the story, you don't even care. You're on board, you buy, you're like, cool, I didn't need to see that. I get it. Look at her doing the pull-ups. It's fine, right?
So simple.
But what that allows you to do is go into 2 cold. You don't need to watch 1. You get everything that's going on. And also the videotapes of her, when it shows her in the interviews screaming everybody's gonna die and all that kind of shit, chilling. You go watch 2 cold and be like, wow, this is an amazing movie. And it's going to make you want to go back and watch 1 is what it does.
Yep.
It did what a sequel almost never does, in that it elevated the source material. It became bigger and larger, but I would say better, but I get it if you like 1 more. But it didn't diminish the franchise at all. And then after this was the final installment of the Terminator franchise, as far as I'm concerned, because we don't need to watch any of those other horrible fucking movies that came after this. So, yeah, I love this movie.
Such a good movie.
Nice.
That's a great pick.
Thank you.
Can I tell you one that I thought was for sure going to be on your list that wasn't? Was the one where your buddy Tom Cruise keeps dying and coming back again.
Honorable mention. Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. It's on the table.
That was going to be on your list.
That got bumped for Primer. I was going back and forth between that and Primer. And I think that is the better, funner action movie, right? But I think Primer is just 100% a interesting.
Sounds like that. I want to see it.
It's such a good movie that had to be on the list, and the other ones I couldn't really bump. So yeah, it's this close, but it is an honorable for sure.
I'm glad that you picked one that maybe people will watch this and think, hey, I haven't watched that. Maybe I should.
I know one other person that's ever seen Primer, and I was like, that's a movie that I think a lot of our fan base would really enjoy. So I was like, I need to talk about that in depth, and yeah, so that's kind of why I went with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
My number one, we're talking about time travel movies. Just strictly time travel movies. This is probably my favorite time travel movie. It is a movie called A Barrel of Monkeys. No, it's 12 Monkeys. It is. The acting in this is amazing.
Good movie.
Brad Pitt is probably my favorite crazy person ever portrayed on movies in this role. He is friggin' amazing. Bruce Willis in this movie is a criminal in the future. The Earth, everybody on Earth except for 1% or some small percentage of humans has been killed by a virus that's been released. And Bruce Willis is sent back by this group of, scientists or leaders or people who all seem super weird and crazy. In my recollection of this movie, they're all like, what in the world is going on with these people? But they're all questioning him and asking crazy. And so I guess time travel in this is pretty accurate, where it is so mentally hard that some people lose their minds.
I love that concept.
Insane.
I love that it would take a mental toll that we can't understand.
Right.
I really think that's cool.
So goes back and doesn't go absolutely crazy, except for he does wind up in a mental institution that's where he meets Brad Pitt's character. And they think in the future that this group called 12 Monkeys are the people who caused the virus that created the end of the world. And so he's got to go back to find them, get a sample of the virus, bring it back so they, can prevent it or come up with a vaccine or some type of thing to prevent that. But his job is to get a sample of this vaccine where you see during this movie, he starts to lose it and think that he lose touch with reality, wonder what's going on, think that he's crazy. He finally, I think after time, because he has to maybe live the time to come back to the
yeah, I think it's a real time
or something.
kind of
Real time thing.
Yeah.
So he's in the mental institution for a longer time, for enough time where he starts to believe that this was all crazy and not true. Now, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but when he was a little boy, he saw somebody get killed in an airport. And this is where paradox, you're worried about you're going to tear a hole in the space-time continuum. That was him that got killed in the future. That his future self coming back from the even more future back to the past to the little boy's future. He saw himself get shot at the airport. Man, and so that's who he saw get shot. And so it turns out, I don't know if this is a spoiler too, but it wasn't the 12 Monkeys that caused the virus, but it was Brad Pitt's dad's company that makes science stuff and they're into viruses and stuff, and some dude steals that stuff from the company, and he's the guy that causes it all. And so that's it, 12 Monkeys. But it's kind of one of those things that's super gritty, and the future looks just grimy, and it's kind of a tough watch to watch these guys just trying to go through the process. And he also falls in love over time with his psychologist from the mental hospital towards the end of the movie. 12 Monkeys is a good movie. If you haven't seen 12 Monkeys, you should watch it.
12 Monkeys is a very good movie. I was thinking about it. The only thing is I haven't seen it in so long. I don't remember a lot of it, and I didn't rewatch it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, good movie. I remember it being good. I remember that.
It's a really good movie. I can't remember the director's name, but he was one of those directors who made really good movies, but a lot of them didn't really make a lot of money. And in some of the movies that he made, Hollywood didn't really understand his vision, so they would change his movies and editing.
Well, I think we agree that's never the way to go.
Yeah, and but this is one where they left it the way
Gilliam.
they left it the way he intended, and in screening it did horrible. Are you listening to me, bro?
I'm listening.
Is everybody listening to me? In screening it did horrible. And they were like, I don't know, we're afraid, but they didn't change it. And it turned out to be his highest grossing movie ever.
Hey, go figure. When you let a creative person execute his vision, maybe that's the way to go.
Yep.
What's funny is that he's known for comedy. He's one of the original Monty Python troupe.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's made a lot of kind of weird. His vision for movies was was kind of an just strange version of movies as far as Hollywood's opinion was.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. All right, what honorables do you got?
I don't have... Well, my only honorable that I have, I don't really have any, was Palm Springs. I don't know if you know Palm Springs. It is.
I know of the place.
What's his name? Adam Sandberg? Is that his name?
Yeah.
It is his version of Groundhog Day.
Isn't it Andy Samberg?
Andy Samberg. It is his version of Groundhog Day, where he's living the same day over and over again. You don't know why. It's because he found his way into this cave where there's a time vortex, and it's really a dark comedy version of
We
Groundhog
watched that
Day.
together. That was
watch
good.
it together. Yeah. And you got the guy who plays J. Jonah Jameson.
J.K. Simmons.
He's a guy who was... it keeps starting in the morning of this of a wedding day and this guy came to the party and he was telling about how he had the greatest day ever. So somehow he lets him come into the cave and get into the thing. So he starts living the same day over again. But then he's angry now because he never gets to see his kids grow up and anything in his future. So he goes on a hunting spree for her, and he's killing him over and over again. Kills him in a million different ways, as sinister as he can. Sets him on fire, runs him over with trucks, trying to kill him all the time because he's so angry at him. But so it's actually a pretty good movie.
It's a cute movie.
Yeah, we watched it and it's a pretty good movie. So that's my honorable mention.
I got a few honorables.
And it's on Netflix now, I think.
Oh,
so.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yep.
Arrival, which I want to do a review of because I fundamentally disagree with Patreon member Nathan Lynn about this movie, and I just want to spite him and argue my point where he can't argue back. X-Men Days of Future Past, Looper, Hot Tub Time Machine, Next, fucking Nick Cage, friend of the show, and 12 Monkeys.
Mine was Avenger Endgame. I just went with one.
Okay.
Nice. And that was our top 5 countdown. Weapon 2. What time is it?
It's time for this or that.
Yeah.
This or that. That's what time it is. Are we going to try this?
I don't know. We didn't talk about it ahead of time.
We don't have to talk about it. So, you can start it down there.
This.
Or.
That. Let's go faster. Let's go.
This.
Or.
That.
This.
Or.
That.
There's
This.
a coyote in my house.
You
Or.
know what?
That.
We've already gotten so good that it's taken the fun out of it.
Yeah, we're probably.
Yeah, we need to come up with something new.
Yeah.
We need to be clever.
All right.
Maybe next time we should let Alias start it off camera.
Just yell something.
Yeah.
Randomly.
I don't know. Something. We got to mix it up.
You say that all the time.
Okay.
All right, what do we got?
I'm going to start. Question number 1.
One. We need an echo.
This one's gonna hits kind of home with me in reality now, and you'll find out when I read this to you.
Is this going to make me cry?
It makes me cry. I don't know if it's gonna make anybody else cry.
I love these fun questions.
Would you rather have all the meat you eat be meatless substitutes, or have all the alcohol you drink be non-alcoholic?
Meatless substitutes.
Meatless substitutes.
I am the same thing. I wish that I could drink alcohol and have it be alcohol.
Yeah, because I feel like if you really look for it, you could probably find some really good meat substitutes that would be close, if not indifferent. Like you wouldn't be able to know the difference.
I'm a huge fan of meat substitutes.
Not me. I like things that were alive and watch their mother get killed because the fear makes the meat taste better.
You want them to have watched their mother get killed, but not you. You don't want to watch them get killed because I know, because you just go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah, I'm not a hunter. I want somebody else to kill the animal for me. No, but if it's that or beer, I mean, I'm giving up the meats.
Okay. Number 2. Would you rather have the strength of 1 lion, 50 wolves, 1,000 raccoons, or 5,000 squirrels?
Wait, hang on. It's any of these?
Would you rather have the strength
Okay, hang on.
of 1 lion?
1,000 raccoons.
No, 50 wolves are obviously stronger than 1
50,
lion.
okay, so you've got there. Now we're going on to some other math. 1,000 raccoons.
Right. Yep, that's me.
Or 5,000 squirrels.
Hang on. He could have said 1 raccoon, and you'd be like, ugh. So no.
So?
So now you got to think about,
How strong is a squirrel?
times 5,000. A squirrel is not very strong, but the combined strength and power of 5,000 squirrels.
How many wolves?
50.
I'll go 50 wolves. That's a lot. Wolves are tough as shit. They're strong. That's a lot of wolves.
50 wolves, yes. I would pit 50 wolves against a lion any
Against
day.
a single lion.
Yes,
And
any day.
and against. I feel like ironically, the wild card here is the
How
raccoons.
about 5 lions against 50 wolves?
I feel like one lion could take out 5 wolves easily. Because if you look at a lion versus a hyena, hyenas are almost the size or about the same size as like a timber wolf. A male lion can wreck about a half dozen of those.
So mathematically, you've just also said, I think now, that even 5 lions are not as strong.
Probably
as
not
50
not
wolves.
as 50. That's
But I mean, using
10.
your,
I would take 10 lions.
Okay.
using your thing of the hyenas against the lion. I mean, one lion could take one hyena, but 10 hyenas can take a lion easily.
Not easy. Not a male
Yeah, 'cause
lion.
they surround them.
They do, but
They're
like
really good at taking things down.
that's the thing. They coordinate.
Didn't you watch Lion King?
They coordinate and they're smart. In a straight up fight, a male lion mows through hyenas like they're not even there.
But
So-
they come in packs.
That's what. Yeah, sure. But 5.
so
no.
basically
10,
1,000
maybe.
raccoons is taking on your 50 wolves.
No, because 1,000 raccoons would just steal shit.
Yeah.
They're thieves.
They use treachery and cunning.
Proportionately to their size, I don't know that a raccoon's as strong as a wolf or a lion.
Right, that's why we're using 1,000.
Right, but 1,000 lion, like, so they're say they were the same size, the way they're built, all that kind of stuff. I feel like lions and wolves are gonna be stronger. If a raccoon were the size of a lion, it wouldn't be as strong as that lion. A squirrel would be.
Whatever. Next question.
Wait,
Well-
you didn't answer. I'm gonna go wolves.
Yeah, I think mathematically,
Wolves, I think, are the best.
I'm
answer.
going 5,000 squirrels. I'm going 5,000 of
too.
anything. Anything. 5,000 of anything. That's a lot.
I gotta tell you, 5,000 squirrels coming at you, pretty terrifying. Might just scare you
terrifying.
enough that
You know
just
what?
run
You
off.
You're
would-
not fighting the
Bro.
animals. You have the strength of them.
Bro, listen to me. You can imagine a lion. You can imagine even probably 50 wolves. You cannot imagine what 5,000 squirrels looks like.
I just imagine a sea of brown.
with little flickering
Oh,
tails.
terrifying. With little tiny teeth. right
They're
next to it.
so adorable. Ah!
Yeah.
You know, the terrifying
Some of
thing
them might
about
be flying.
the squirrels.
Might be flying out of the air. Flying squirrels. Yeah.
So I know that we're talking about strength, but if we were talking about 5,000 squirrels, the terrifying things about squirrels is that they can come at you from trees
Fast.
and they're not just coming at you from the ground.
We're being
Fast.
totally honest. I don't want to fight a squirrel. They're squirrely.
They can fly at your face, right?
See what I did there?
Squirrely.
They might be the fastest of all these animals we're talking about.
They're so not the fastest. They're not the fastest.
They probably don't have the endurance.
I hear you. Here we go. Number 3.
God.
Would you rather be able to travel back or forth through time 24 hours once every month, or back or forth a year of time once a year?
Year. Once a year.
So once a year, you can go either back or forward in time a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the year, you could be like, do I want to do over?
As opposed to 12 times a year for a day at a time.
Yeah, no.
Back or forth.
No, because I feel like you could live your way throughout the year and you could write down shit or just remember shit like Super Bowl winners and NCAA winners, lotto numbers, shit like that, and go back in time to the beginning of the year and bet on all these things. And I feel like you could set yourself up like a month at a time. That's cool. But I mean, I guess you
If
could still win the
something
lotto.
horrible happened, you would have to live. Well, I guess you wouldn't have to live with it. You could go back a year and then have to wait an entire year to get up to it to change it.
Yeah. But you can but if it's something bad, you could formulate a plan and be ready for it. Unless it's like the apocalypse, in which case I'm at a party for the year, so I want to know that it's going to happen still. I think the year you would have the year and you would be able to plan and you could set yourself up better with a year. You're just being a little more patient.
I think theoretically in this scenario, everybody would like to go back in time. I don't think anybody who wants to
No, I'm
jump
not
forward
going
in time.
forward. That would
No.
blow.
Here's the thing. I know myself, and I know that if I had to go back in time every month to use my going back in time, I'd be like, it's that time again. It's the end of the month, and I haven't used my going back in time yet. And if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it.
You'd be that way every year, though, too.
No.
I would be
'Cause
looking
it's
forward to
once,
it.
So it'd be like...
I would be
Yeah, you
like,
went
I
back
can't
for a
treat.
year. You would have to be reliving that entire year.
Right, but it would be a treat. It's like if it's like going somewhere and taking 14 turns versus going somewhere and taking one turn when it's a little bit longer to go the one turn.
But I think
but you're not taking 14.
I think the bigger thing is just like, did anything significant happen in that month that would make me want to go back to relive it to do something differently?
But you would have
So
to
you
live
might
an
just
entire
not even
year
use
just to
it?
get back to that thing to time.
We already said we would. Stop arguing.
Where if something happened, and you could go, oh geez, I don't want to go back and relive an entire year, but I'll go back a day to try to fix that thing.
Let's just
Yes,
use
but if I'm
2020
being
as an
if I'm being a
example.
little planner, then I just note, I was like, all right, June 8th sucks balls. Let's change that when I go
Okay,
back.
but let's just use 2020 as an example. So what was if you choose the monthly option,
You gotta go back
only
a
get
day.
to go back a day.
24 hours.
That's not fixing any of
You don't
this
have time to
shit
do
show.
much. Yeah.
Right. You can't fix any of this shit show. If you go back a year, you can get stuck in Tahiti or somewhere nice so that maybe the whole bullshit that we're living through right now happens, but you're at least somewhere better dealing with it.
Well, not only that, like I just feel like you would be more prepared to deal with shit. Even
But
though you have to
monthly
replay
going back
the year.
and reliving a day,
You only
what
get
are
a
you
day.
going to do?
That's not enough time.
You're going to relive a day of quarantine. Yay.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to relive the day just to be different. And I get more options. And I don't have to live an entire year
Well,
just
your
to
choice
solve
sucks.
a thing.
Okay.
Just a day.
Yeah, your choice
That's what I'm going
sucks.
with. You do not be so critical. That's not fair.
I feel
All
sorry
right, here
for
we
you.
go. Number 4. If you could have absolute power, influence, manipulation, and control
Liking this so far.
over animals, vegetables, or minerals, which would it be?
Animals. What?
Who in the fuck is gonna?
Why
pick
do I
a
need
mineral?
absolute control over vegetables?
Mineral is the earth, rocks, metals, everything. These are the three classifications of all things on the
No,
planet.
But what are you gonna do
Animals,
with that unless you want to
vegetables,
just
or
wreck
minerals.
shit? Unless you want to wreck shit or build really cool shit, what are you gonna do with that?
And what are you going to do with power over vegetables?
Make some mean broccoli.
That's
what you're gonna
all
do?
Make
some
mashed
broccoli
potatoes.
heads
That's
this
all.
big.
That's all plant
make mashed
life
potatoes
on the
healthier.
planet.
No, wait, you're kind of poison ivy.
All
You're poison
organic-
ivy in that
Yes,
scenario.
you
that's kind
are.
of okay. That's,
Yes.
I can give it. So then, okay,
Yes.
with the rocks,
you
then,
could make it just fucking grow like
Yeah.
crazy. The biggest tree. You could make a tree reach down and grab.
Yeah, okay, but
somebody.
So you could be like the rock hound.
So this, okay, so then the
Never
pretty
ending
good
story.
though, right?
No, that's great. So once I poison ivy click, so that's fine. So it would be the same with
Still
the
going
rock
animals.
and the earth in terms of you would be poison ivy, but for that you'd be. But both of those are that's cool if I want to be a superhero or supervillain. If I'm just living my life, controlling animals is cool because then I'd have a pet lion.
I'd have a team of raccoons.
Yes, you could do that. So basically,
Then we could figure out if 50 wolves could take 1,000 raccoons
You
or whatever the
could.
fuck
That's-
the question
I
That
wouldn't
is.
do that because I would not use my powers for evil. But I would have a raccoon army. I would have some
That's not evil?
octopi. I would have some octopi friends that hung out at the house with me. I would have, there's a whole lot of things. I would have a dragonfly team that I could send because you need an airborne division. I would have a lot of things.
wow.
Yeah.
I agree with the animals.
But also the control over
Hornets?
minerals. You
Murder
could
hornets?
you could change the terrestrial look of the planet. You could raise a mountain.
Yeah, but why do I want to do that?
You could drop the mountain on somebody.
I feel
You
like
could-
that's happened
you could-
before, and
you
it
could
threw off
change
the gravitational
the-
pull.
I could also sick a
Destroy
fucking
the
polar
Earth.
bear on somebody. So
I could squash your army of polar bears with a mountain.
yeah, but why?
Yeah,
would
then
I,
you
why do
screw
I need
things
to
up.
move mountains? Why do I got to move mountains?
I feel like the person that does that is a bad guy, whereas the person that has control of animals is still a good guy.
If I'm moving mountains, I can make a solid argument that I'm a god and just take the planet over.
If you could change,
I feel
the
like every
crest-
time that happens, the planet
face
gets
of the
thrown
Earth, you
out
could
of
bring
orbit
water,
and bad
you could
things
bring
happen.
water
It ends.
to arid regions who can't grow crops. You could do a lot of good with
You
that.
could actually bring fucking fresh water to places
Yes.
that don't have it.
You sure
Took
could.
you a while to get to the actual good that you would
No,
do.
you guys were
No, I
doing
mean,
a lot of
I'm
talking.
taking-
You guys were
I'm-
doing a lot of this. It took me a while to get to
be
where I
fair,
could talk. Yeah.
I'm taking the world
doing the
over.
chicken dance?
I'm gonna control everything, but I'm gonna be a good monarch, and I'm gonna give people like water. At the very least,
Before you kill them.
I'm only gonna kill
With
them
the
if
giant
they,
mountain?
if they piss me off.
There's an argument to be made for each
For
of
each
these.
of them, the plant thing could
No.
be cool too.
Animals.
Animals still, but
You could ride dolphins like Aquaman, like the old Aquaman. Like,
The song from
and have an octopus play drums.
yes.
I'm on a boat, just pops in my
Underwater
head.
drums?
I'm riding dolphins. I'm doing flips and shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could we control Aquaman himself?
Get out of here.
Yes, he is animal on this planet. People
Technically,
are
people
animal.
are animals.
Yes, that is a bird. There's either mineral, vegetable, or animal.
Oh, I gotta control-
every creature
I
or
gotta control
person
people,
is
too?
animal. Yes.
Oh, there's not even a question now.
No.
I
There's not
never
even
even
a
thought of that, but
question
now
now.
I've changed
Well,
to
yeah, we're
animal.
mammals.
Yes,
We're mammals.
No,
yes.
So,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Sorry, you guys all
Totally.
chose. You
What?
guys chose
No,
already.
and
I
I
hadn't
chose
made a
animal.
choice. I chose
binding.
animal. I hadn't made a choice yet.
And I did
I
choose
said there was an
animal.
argument to made, but once I knew I
will
could control
bust out
people,
the rewind
I
feature
am
again
going
and go
that
back to
route.
me picking
Yes,
animal.
We're all going animal. Number 5.
The Rock's gonna be my best friend.
This is on topic with our
List.
list. Would we know if time travel existed because people are would we know if time travel existed because people are inherently bad at keeping secrets, covering their tracks, and generally meddling? Or could there be people that are so disciplined, intelligent, with the attention to the finest detail that there could be travelers in our very midst now and we would never know it? What do you think?
So I think if time travel was a real thing, eventually some company would come out and mass market it, and it would become so prevalent that people would be popping around all the time.
But
And
what
then
if-
everybody would know.
No.
But what
I
about the
just
person that
common
invented it?
knowledge.
This goes back to disciplined and good at keeping
'cause
secrets and covering their tracks. They wouldn't let
Money-
I think what's
money
gonna
tends
happen,
to win.
whoever the fuck figures this out, the government's gonna take it over hard. Whatever
Yep.
What
government
if they
it
were
is,
so good at keeping
they're
the
gonna
secret that
take
the government never discovered it? Because the only way they find out is people loose lips sink ships. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep their
But
mouth
if you
shut.
invent time machine, I have to imagine you're gonna want to make money. You're gonna want the
What
recognition
what
of breaking this fucking
What if they
ground.
just used it to go back and do good, subtle, little, tiny things, and we never even knew what was going on?
Maybe
That would be very, very, very surprising.
Maybe you could what if this the shit, but you're asking
So
what
you're
I think
saying
what
is
would
there's
happen.
No way that there's people that are disciplined, intelligent, and have attention to the finest detail that they could be traveling and we wouldn't know it.
I believe that
I
the first
think-
person would be an altruistic person who does believe in the purity of the science and everything, and then suddenly somebody finds out.
A corporation
such
or
as
a
Back to the
government.
Future 2, when people started piecing together that he knew things that he shouldn't know, and people started realizing there was something, and so then it started being used for bad. I don't remember exactly. but
I feel like either it would happen to where a corporation or a government that controlled it would take over and want to like shut it down to where it's not a general public thing, or some kind of branch would be invented that monitors and controls
the thing.
and dictates. So like it wouldn't be the general public could pay money and do it. It would be a very locked down thing.
So we all know that there's people who kind of can live an isolated lifestyle where they're not really they're not interacting a lot with other people. He could live out in the woods. He could do whatever. You're
So the
saying that
Unabomber?
there couldn't be a person. Oh, why do you go there?
Maybe, but the
That's
kind of
way
people
too
who
much.
would
But
a
invent
person
shit like this.
who wouldn't be running around bragging and making a big deal of stuff they knew. They were just the most pure and well-intended time travelers.
The problem is they
were
but that
docked.
person's going to be employed by fucking Elon Musk, and the second he knows that this shit's real,
Why?
the world's going to know about it.
What if?
And
what's
he's
the
gonna
move-
fuck that
what's
up
the move-
hard.
Oh, here we go. Here's one we didn't name. What about
what?
safety not guaranteed?
Yeah, I thought you were going to put that on your list.
That would have been one. That's one of my better. That's probably one of the honorable mentions. That one is a guy who's nobody thinks that he can time travel, but somehow he was still in gadgets from a science lab, so they figured out
Lasers.
Yes, lasers. So have you seen that?
I know.
It's on Netflix now. It's a pretty good movie.
So my point is that in Back to the Future 2, the past Biff Tannen realized that they knew the numbers that's how he made his fortune. He realized that they had the book that gave all the gambling scores, and he stole the book, and then he won because he bet on all the things that were in like whatever it was, the Farmer's Almanac, a gambling magazine, whatever, I can't remember. And that's how he became.
But he got the book because how?
Because
Where was it at?
I think it was in the truck, in the car or something.
Yeah, what are you doing carrying such a sensitive document around in your car?
But
that
here's
should be
the
in a
thing.
safe
Put it in a
somewhere.
safe.
Exactly.
Do you
And
have a
nobody
safe?
knows about
You don't
it.
own a
I'm
safe.
saying
Yes.
that it's not that big of a leap to think that somebody else would figure out that this car that ends up in 1950 whatever, that is obviously not anything normal,
I'd
has
keep a
some
secret.
kind of powers. Somebody else would figure it out and they would make it do whatever it does. If all you have to do is get in and press the gas, turn on the ignition and press the gas, and you all of a sudden end up
All
somewhere
right,
else.
the cat's out of the bag. I'm a time traveler, and you guys didn't know it until now. You guys had no fucking idea. So you're all wrong. I've been doing it for a long time. And now you know. You know what? Because you forced it out of me, Hailstorm. I would have kept it a secret for the rest of my life. What?
How do the Cowboys do this year? Like, I have hopes. I'm kind of
Of course,
I'm proud of my card.
they do not do well.
All right, well,
All right.
fuck me.
I think it's awesome that we've been married 12 years. And
You're
you decided
married?
to, like,
I was
stick
doing
it out.
such a good job
Yeah.
keeping it a secret until you brought it out, and now
I
everybody
feel
knows.
like you could have time traveled the shit away.
Can you go back, or are you stuck here?
It's under repairs.
It's complicated.
Do we ever get hoverboards?
There's some, yes, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
I forgot to say one of the things that I like about Austin Powers too is that when they do go back in time, he's like, it's very complicated, so they don't even have to explain any rules.
I am on a hiatus. I have a part that I'm trying to get. I can't talk about it, but I can't really get my hands on it right now. Be a little while.
That's cool.
I'm benched right now.
Well, thanks for being part of TWG,
Hey
future
man,
man.
it's been great. I really enjoyed it. You know, thanks everybody.
I like to think you became part of this because you know this is a winning enterprise. So
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And see, Hailstorm doesn't understand that I have been time traveling, but I'm in such a blissful marriage that I always come back right to where I left because I don't want to miss a single minute of it. So
Is it all those times that you just run to the store?
yeah,
He's
I go
time
to the
traveling.
store. I'll be back in a while.
you don't even know how long a while is. It's
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know how long I've been
You know
gone.
what I love about this story? I love that one day if you leave me by saying I'm running to the store and you never come back, I'll just be like, time travel.
He was a time
We're
traveler.
gonna be like,
That's
so
right.
you know he left, right? No, you don't understand.
He told me. He
told
told
me.
me on the podcast he was a time traveler. I knew it.
I'll play
Deep
it.
down.
I'll play it for people. I'm a time traveler. I'll just
I
keep
think
that
I just
clip.
saw him.
You just told on
I just
yourself,
saw him like in Idaho.
No, he's a time traveler.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Well played. All right. That was This or That's. Weapon 2. I'm Num Num. Plug the contest.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to pretend to drink because I already drank mine.
Well played.
All right, folks. This is the deal. I'm laying it down for you. We are trying to build our subscribership. We appreciate everybody that watches our videos and everything that we're trying. Hey, our Patreons, we really appreciate you guys. I just want
Yes.
to let you out now.
All 6 of you.
We're putting our money to use. I think maybe this month we're buying that.
I'm going to have them ready within the next week. I'm going to have what I want.
Within the next week, we are going to buy mics and a green screen and all the things we need to do to be making some of these new videos that we have planned out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun adventure for figuring it out about what we're going to do and putting it out there for everybody to see how they like it. That's all fun. That is all direct correlation to our Patreons who have donated money over the time that we've been doing this.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. We made a post on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we
Instagram
made a
came
post on
roaring back.
Instagram. We're getting there. I haven't done any blogs on the website for a while, so
But the Facebook is still going strong?
Facebook is going strong. The website's still there. We still post the videos and our audio podcasts on that.
Yeah. In fact, the last podcast, which was a 3-parter, All three,
Wow.
Yeah, all 3 audio links and all 3 videos are on the web.
Folks, if you watched all 3 of those, congratulations.
Then
They are
you are
very,
a
they are
true
very
fucking
entertaining
believer.
and funny, but man, there is a lot of good content
3
right there for you to
hours.
I
watch.
have to say it was really fun stuff though, but it is very long.
You guys were just having a blast.
We were having
Fun
too much
people.
fun. This is why the
Nice.
adults have to be here to get us to reel it in.
We did have that conversation,
did.
didn't we? Yeah.
I feel like it generated a lot of good content though, but
Yes. And back to where I started, we're building our subscribership on our YouTube page. We're always trying to do that. We like to have fun on the Facebook page. I think we get a lot of good comments and interaction with people there. We really have fun doing that, posting stuff. We want to continue to build our subscribership on our YouTube, where we post all of our podcasts and our videos. We're probably somewhere around over 225-ish now.
221, I think, last time I looked.
Somewhere around there. We're on the road to 300. So, hey, if you want to enjoy life and want everybody in the world around you to also enjoy life, whether you know them, maybe they're a friend or a family member or a complete stranger, what you need to do is let them know, fill them in on the world's greatest news and reviews. Show up on the YouTube channel. Comment, subscribe, for sure subscribe. Come on, folks. And comment and hit the likes. Interact in every single way on all of our platforms, because that always helps us. There's a magic algorithm of the virtual world that tracks that stuff, and somehow we become more relevant if there's interaction. So hey, help us out there. Hit that bell for notifications so you know when we are posting stuff. And what happens here is when we get to 300, oh my goodness, listen up. There is, if you haven't seen one of these yet, go back and check out our videos where we packed boxes of prizes and fun things to give people, because we are going to pack an entire box. When you comment and you subscribe, make sure you tell us who you are, because what we're going to do is we're going to pick somebody at random, and we are going to contact that person. We're going to find some type of a delivery place for us to send a box. That box is going to be filled with things that we find out from you that you're interested in. There will be a Funko Pop in there from Funko headquarters in Everett, Washington. There will be a original drawing by me of whatever character you want. Just tell me what's going down, and I'm going to do it for you. It's going to be signed. It's going to be original, all for you. We're going to put in some comic books, some other stuff, all kinds of things. There's going to be a TWG logo t-shirt. Hey, folks, I'm letting you in on some news that is hot off the press. The only people who know this are people who have been following us. I've only posted this as a line inked drawing. We've got our new logo out. So by the time this happens, you'll have 3 logo t-shirts to choose from. You can pick which one you want. It's going to be awesome, fun, good times. Let's enjoy life, people. Let's do it. Right?
Well played, sir.
Nice work.
Hailstorms, any closing thoughts?
I have no closing thoughts whatsoever.
Okay.
All right, Weapon 2. Well played, sir.
All right.
Think we did everything that we need to do? Think we accomplished all of our missions?
I think that we've really done a nice job here
We
today,
have.
folks.
And you know what?
And we couldn't have done it without each other and everybody out there watching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the most importantly, we don't have to take this shit anymore.
No, because we're done.
We are done.
We're calling this episode quits. We've done as much damage as we can here today, folks.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the World's Greatest News and Reviews. If you've enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Peace.